I'm Tammy Broadhead. My father was Sherwin Broadhead, and he has done a lot of work, did a lot of work in his life with Native Americans. I was born in 1956. My father was 25 at the time. He was born to Mormon pioneers in southern Idaho, right near the Bannock-Shoshone Reservation. He was always quite concerned that people did not think he was an Indian. But most Indian people wanted him to be an Indian. My mom tells a story of they were at some conference and this woman stood up, a Native woman, and talked about how she hated white people asking her about her tribe. And then she came down and asked my dad what his tribe was, and she wouldn't take no for an answer. But I didn't ever understand at the time, but it's very important. The truth was always important to my father, that it had he didn't want to put on any airs or make any pretenses. And the fact that he really thought Indian people should be in control of their lives, not even white people look like Indians. So that, I think it was harder for my mother, especially in the South, in Virginia there, that there was a lot of discrimination against her. In fact, early on, the women would sit outside and talk in these apartment developments we lived in. I think my father, he wasn't one to care a lot about what other people thought about him. So he was kind of oblivious to it, I think. I think that being one of his strengths, though, was that Native Indian people trusted him, and yet he had the sense of privilege that a white person would have. And so when he saw the Indian schools, he didn't just go, this is what happens. He was mad. And he had a big temper, and he used it when he saw injustice. So when we moved to Coulee Dam, we actually initially lived out on the reservation in Nespelem. And I was taking the bus into school, to the dam school, as it was called, under the Grand Coulee Dam. And the kids thought I was very funny. I was from the city at this point. I looked like a cool hippie in 1970. And they would tease me and try to get me to chew tobacco, and all was great for about the first week. And then one day we were sitting in the auditorium. There were about 250 kids in the school. And all of a sudden, all the Indian kids who I was sitting with were gone. Like, no word, nothing. I was just there without them. And it was a hazing. It was a school hazing. It was called a slave sale, which the freshmen, which I was one, would stand in front of the whole school and be bid on so that they could be pushed around for a week. And no one bid on me. And it was a turning point. It was one of those traumas in your life that you work through for a long time. And I didn't trust the Indian kids after that. And I didn't trust him after that. So that was kind of how this racism and all these things stack up all different ways.